Section 12 of Sabotage. This is a LibraVox recording. All LibraVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibraVox.org. Sabotage by Elizabeth Gurley Flynn. Used sabotage, but didn't know what you called it. Sabotage is for the working man an absolute necessity. Therefore, it is almost useless to argue about its effectiveness. When men do a thing instinctively, continually, year after year, and generation after generation, it means that the weapon has some value to them. When the Boyd speed was made in Paterson, immediately some of the socialists rushed to the newspapers to protest. They called the attention of the authorities to the fact that the speech was made. The secretary of the Socialist Party and the organizer of the Socialist Party repudiated Boyd. That precipitated the discussion into the strike committee as to whether speeches on sabotage were to be permitted. We had tried to instill into the strikers the idea that any kind of speech was to be permitted, that a socialist or a minister or a priest, a union organizer, an AF of L men, a politician, an IWW man, an anarchist, anybody should have a platform. And we tried to make the strikers realize, you have sufficient intelligence to select for yourselves. If you haven't got that, then no censorship over your meetings is going to do you any good. So they had a rather tolerant spirit, and they were not inclined to accept the socialist denunciation of sabotage right off the rail. They had an executive session and threshed it out, and this is what occurred. One worker said, "I never heard of this thing called sabotage before Mr. Boyd spoke about it on the platform. I know once in a while, when I want a half day off and they won't give it to me, I slip the belt off the machine so it won't run, and I get my half day. I don't know whether you call that sabotage, but that's what I do." Another said, "I was in the strike of the dyers 11 years ago and we lost. We went back to work, and we had these cabs that had broken our strike working side by side with us. We were pretty sore, so whenever they were supposed to be mixing green, we saw to it that they put in red, or when they were supposed to be mixing blue, we saw to it that they put in green. And soon they realized that cabbing was a very unprofitable business, and the next strike we had, they lined up with us. I don't know whether you call that sabotage, but it works." As we went down the line, one member of the executive committee after another admitted they had used this thing, but they didn't know that was what you called it. And so in the end, Democrats, Republicans, Socialists, all IWWs in the committee voted that speeches on sabotage were to be permitted, because it was ridiculous not to say on the platform what they were already doing in the shop. And so my final justification of sabotage is its constant use by the worker. The position of speakers, organizers, lecturers, writers who are presumed to be interested in the labor movement must be one of two. If you place yourself in a position outside of the working class, and you presume to dictate to them from some superior intellectual plane, what are they to do? They will very soon get rid of you, for you will very soon demonstrate that you are of absolutely no use to them. I believe the mission of the intelligent propagandist is this: we ought to see what the workers are doing, and then try to understand why they do it. Not tell them it's right or it's wrong, but analyze the condition and see if possibly they do not best understand their need, and if, out of the condition, they may not develop a theory that will be of general utility. Industrial unionism, sabotage are theories born of such facts and experiences, but for us to place ourselves in a position of censorship is to alienate ourselves entirely from sympathy and utility with the very people we are supposed to serve. End of use sabotage, but didn't know what you called it.